classroom and say the class before the Shabbaton we're going to do this, the class after the Shabbaton we're going to do that. But I'm not convinced I actually created a new process for teaching.
Do you know what changed, or if anything changed, the next year when either you went to go put together the Shabbaton, or when another colleague went to go put together the Shabbaton?
Right. So I continued putting together the Shabbaton for a couple of years after that. Yeah, what changed? So certainly the teachers who came on the Shabbaton changed. There were a couple of rabbinic teachers who had not come before that, who were now coming. The interesting thing, what your question just made me trigger in my mind is that I think the classes, like the classroom changed, but I'm not convinced that the Shabbaton changed. So I think now in retrospect, one of the places that I could have done better, if I were refining, was saying, we shouldn't just be taking that grade 11 curriculum and bringing it to grade 9 to the classes before and after the Shabbaton, but what if we took some of that grade 11 curriculum and brought it onto the Shabbaton and did some of that learning, some of that like what we would consider like school learning on the Shabbaton to bridge the environment in that way. And that might also have given the grade 11 rabbinic teachers a purpose. I think one of the frustrations they had could well have been that they felt, well, why am I going? I mean, like, there's no role for me. I sort of sit there and I go to prayers and I eat my meals, but like, I don't think they felt they really had a task. So I wonder now, I mean, just raise the idea, what if we had given them a role to do something to teach part of that Shabbat curriculum on the Shabbaton?
Okay.
One of the things that I found lacking in John's sort of number 5 through in his process was gaining an appreciation of who the players are. I really believe, I mean, Bowman and Deal speak about their different frames for looking at organizations. They speak about a symbolic frame, they speak about a political frame, and they speak about a human resource frame. I really believe that in my role as like director of student activities in the school, 80% of my job was building relationships with other teachers, with other faculty, with administrators, to sort of get their buy-in. I could never run a program without them. And to a large extent, that entire survey exercise, while interesting and possibly playing into my dissertation, most of the reason I did that was to get buy-in from other people. And in John's sort of 4 pieces of, observe, so I put a D on there, observe, design, experiment, refine, I think one of the pieces that's lacking from observe is collaborate and find out who the other players are and who can be helpful in your process and engage them. So let's sort of wrap up with this and see if we can take another example. Do we think it was sustaining or disruptive? Again, sustaining is incremental improvement, doing what you've done better, and disruptive is enabling us to do new things or serve a new population.
Seems to me it was more sustaining than disruptive.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree. We could have this dream of really changing the form of pedagogy, but that's not what this was doing. So I agree it was sustaining, and ideally teaching in a way that was better, teaching in a way that integrated experiential learning with a formal classroom learning. Are there any other lessons that we think we...
Well, I agree with you. I like what you said before about looking at collaboration and how collaboration could have improved and helped improve the work that was done with the Shabbaton. So that, I think, is definitely something that I would take away, is what's the best way to work with other people and to really improve on a group basis as opposed to on an individual, and to sort of force others along with you.
Yeah. And to me, that's sort of my MO. Like, it's always about who else can share this endeavor with me, who else can help push this agenda forward. I don't think you can be, a lone innovator. I really believe that innovation needs to be a process where multiple people are working together to reach common or collaborative goal. And I really believe that innovation needs to be organically developed through collaboration. Like, I believe that one of the definitions of collaboration has to be that it can't be that I have an idea and I bring my friends along to help me reach that goal. It needs to be that that's something I want to share with you, and what comes out at the end was organically developed by us working together. And so it's something new that isn't mine and isn't yours, but was created together. And I hope that something I was trying to do with the rabbinic teachers, but there was a lot of sort of back and forth in terms of creating a collaborative relationship there. So let's move on from this case and ask, the cases of innovation that you can think of, either that you individually have worked on, or that you can think of from the Jewish world that we can sort of discuss using these six questions.
I'm sorry. I'm still maybe because we have a Shabbaton this weekend. I'm really caught up in thinking about the Shabbaton.
I'm
and
happy to talk
about that the process that our school has taken. And anyway, I'm still very much sort of there. Okay.
I mean, do you want to share with us something about that?
Can we talk about Shabbatonim a little bit? Is that okay with you?
100%.
I love it. I love Shabbatonim.
What?
I love Shabbatonim. Let's talk about it.
Okay. So, I mean, there's a process that we've gone through in our school, and some of it is, well, okay, so, and Dina, you might want to edit some of this out after. But in our school, Shabbatonim were started, and there were people who went on the Shabbatonim who were who were not the academic teachers, just like in Toronto.
When you say not the academic teachers, do you mean not the academic Jewish studies teachers, or do you mean
the people who went were actually, I shouldn't say that. There were a couple people who, like for instance, Adam. He was in the Jewish history and social studies department, and that's what he does, social studies. Now he only teaches one class or something. But when he started, he did for a very brief time. He taught some Judaic studies, but he quickly moved into social studies. And did, Jewish history stuff, and he went right into, he didn't spend a lot of time, as a full-time classroom teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And the other people who went, who've gone are guidance counselors. We have a full guidance department. Guidance counselors, arts people, things like that. And the person who, in the last couple of years, the person who was the tefillah coordinator in the school, which is not me. So a year or two ago, I guess 2 years ago, I felt that Shabbatonim, very much the way you described, were that we had no connection to Shabbatonim. The faculty and the Judaic Studies faculty in particular had no connection to Shabbatonim, and that they, kids had this experience away from school with some people connected to school, and then with other staff who sometimes were brought in from the outside. I guess like the Madrichim that you described. And,
our Madrichim were senior students within the school.
Okay. All right. So I misunderstood that.